Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole and today we are talking about some of the kind of harsh realities of your new build home. So as you know, we have been in our home for a little over a month now, and I did miss a video last week, and it was just, there was a lot going on, and it kind of sparked my, I've been building a list of things that I kind of, would have changed, wish I had known, all of that, which is essentially what this entire channel has been about, but specifically with some of the issues that kind of came up in the last 2 weeks that led to me not being able to film. I just want to make sure that, again, if you're going through something similar, that you're as prepared as possible for kind of what your future could bring. So if that sounds good to you, please do subscribe, give this video a like. Let's go. The first one, a little bit of a lighter note, I guess. There will be bugs. There will be bugs, there will be spiders, there will be centipede thingies, creepy crawlies. If you have a new build home, there are going to be little creepy crawlies that have made their way in while nobody was living there, and now you're in there and they are everywhere. This was a lot of just unused land, farmland type place in Virginia, and there's just a lot of spiders that I have come across. And if you are like me, I usually put up a lot of pictures and examples. I'm not going to do any of that. You know what bugs look like, you know what spiders look like, and I don't want to edit pictures of them because while I don't have a true arachnophobia, I don't like them, they creep me out. If you hear little huffing noises, my dog is right on the other side of my phone as I'm filming, being a very good supervisor. Oh, there she goes. So you might hear some rustling in the background. That is Mia. Oh, you wanna say hi? Say hi? Right here, princess. What is it? Hi. So just be prepared. Pest control company, pretty soon after you move in, we had mosquitoes all over our front door. I had some very large spiders, in my opinion. My husband thinks I tend to exaggerate the size of spiders. There was one instance where I had unplugged something, put it on the counter, and there was a spider on the other side of the plug, not a small one either. So I was like, okay, so I just carried you in my hand across part of the house, and now you're on my countertop. That is not for me. So again, if you're like me, just be prepared to make that call pretty quickly. Now, again, we are unwell, so there are some differences that they'll use. I'm typically not a big fan of just blanket spraying of all of these kind of harsh bug treatments, but they will make sure to speak to you about specific ones. Like I mentioned, mosquitoes kind of specifically. There are different ones they need if you are unwell, so just make sure that they are aware of what's going on there so they don't spray something that can get into your water. The second thing is that you are not going to catch everything on your walkthroughs. You'll have the two, you'll have your pre-closing and your final sign-off walkthrough, and I know I've mentioned this before, but actually living in the home, you're going to come across a couple of things that you're just not going to see until you're really there. So a couple of examples that I have seen since that we are now scheduling our 60-day inspection, and we're hoping they will fix. Apparently, after speaking to some neighbors, there has been some pushback on what I feel like would be pretty obvious things for them to cover and fix, so we might have a fight on our hands. Not quite sure what that's all going to look like. I'll be sure to let you know. But things like we had a guest stay the night, so I had to set up one of the bathrooms, the buddy bath where I wish there were pocket doors. We were in there and I was setting up everything, make sure that their towels were there, and looking behind, again, one of the many doors in there are the towel racks, or what are supposed to be towel racks. So I put the towel for our guest over one, and the second one, there's kind of just this one little curved piece poking out from the wall. It almost looked like it was a toilet paper holder, but in looking at it a little more closely, I realized it was a piece of a towel rack that they just didn't finish putting up. So that was fun. That's going on the list. Another thing is just to make sure that you look at all of the finishes of everything. So you would assume that because you chose a package that it's going to be that color, and I didn't really pay close attention to all of the finishes for things like the light fixtures. I was noticing that my husband's light fixture didn't look quite like mine in the mirror. So our mirrors are right across from each other, which is another thing that I don't quite recommend because it gives you that kind of infinite mirror effect as you're staring into it. Okay, you're being very needy. What's going on? Yeah, you say hi. Being on the floor means both of them are very interested in what I'm doing at all times. So I'm looking at his light fixture and I'm realizing that even though we did chrome everywhere, his light fixture is brushed nickel. Again, not something that we caught on our walkthroughs because we weren't looking for that, which just look over absolutely everything. I know I've harped on that before, but just these little things that you assume are going to be correct that now we have to get corrected. So look at all of your light fixtures, look at all of the finishes. So that's going to include your door handles, your hinges, all of that. Be sure to be on the lookout. Our next one is that things will break. Now, obviously, anything can always break. That's not like it's anything revolutionary that I'm saying here, but specifically, one of the reasons I was not able to film recently is that our septic pump of our brand new house that we've lived in for a month broke. So that means that water, our gray water, all of that was not getting pumped out of the house properly. What happened was I'm sitting on the couch one day and I hear an alarm start going off. It wasn't that loud, didn't really realize it was our house. I thought that something was going on somewhere, but because it wasn't too incredibly loud, I wasn't very concerned. It kept going. I had gotten up for something and realized that it was louder on one side of the house than another. So went out to inspect and our outdoor septic alarm was going off. So this was right before Memorial Day, right before our guest was coming. And the box had, the website and the number to call. So I did that. They were closed for the weekend. So because there's an alarm going off, I'm thinking this should probably be some type of emergency number. It didn't go through. Went to the website, submitted something. I still don't think I ever actually heard back from the website. So that's fun. But essentially my husband also got involved with this when he was golfing at the time. So I just sent him a message saying, hey, this alarm's going off. I've done what I can do, but I don't really know what's going to happen. I haven't heard back from anybody. I wasn't able to get through to anybody. He found some other number. Basically, they were like, well, this was a Saturday. Like, we can schedule you for something on Tuesday. In the meantime, be careful with your water, essentially. So that meant, we couldn't run the dishwasher. We couldn't wash clothes. We couldn't really take a long shower. I'm the type of person who washes my hair quite often. It gets pretty greasy and I don't understand. Now, a lot of people swear by and can go, a week or more, or there's a whole, no shampooing type deal. That's not me. I need to wash my hair. So not being able to do that, not being able to, again, just use water essentially, and then having them come out for various appointments, and they were coming out to pump the water a couple times, I was not able to get filming done. So that is now fixed. But again, they had to come out and pump to the different septic tanks kind of manually because it wasn't draining. Our alarm in the basement started going off, which is apparently the serious one, which you really have a problem at that point. So initially it was only the one outside, which it was right on the other side of this wall by our air conditioning units. That one was going off. It would go off about every 12 hours. So we'd have to go off and kind of discharge that. But then once the one in the basement started going off, they were like, yeah, basically don't use your water if you don't have to. Water is kind of essential to a lot of the things that we do, but okay, thank you. When can you come out? Again, the pump was broken. They couldn't get a hold of the piece to fix it. And then when they were supposed to come out, there was some other emergency. People weren't in the office. They had to do some other pipe repair somewhere. It kept pushing off when our pump was going to be put in. It was this entire saga, essentially. So that is now fixed. And because it is under warranty, because we've only been here again a month, that was taken care of. We didn't have to pay for it, which was fantastic. But a lot of times it seems that there are some pieces like that that maybe aren't the best quality, that maybe are a little bit cheaper for purposes of getting the home built that you might run into. So just be prepared that things are going to break that you aren't expecting, and it can mess with a lot of things. Again, it was the holiday weekend, which didn't help. We had a guest over, which it was a very stressful time that we weren't anticipating. So be prepared. Things are going to break that you aren't expecting. The next thing is that you will have regrets. So you know that I went through a lot of changes with my taste, with my style, with going back to the design center 4 times. And there are still things that I'm just like, oh, I wish I'd done that differently, and it's going to happen. Your taste and your style will change while you live there, so it's kind of inevitable just because you'll want different things throughout the time that you're living there, and I just want you to make sure that you're being kind to yourself and to your decisions, because there are some things that I know I've kind of beat myself up a little bit on, and it's hard to plan for everything. It's hard to know where your taste is going to go. What looks good to you now might not look good to you when you pick it out, not look good to you in the future. So these regrets are totally normal, and most of the things are things that you can change. It might take time, you might have to save up, and maybe it's something that's just not that big a deal to begin with. Just keep in mind, these regrets will happen and it's okay. It will be okay. And again, just kind of remember to be kind to yourself throughout this process. There's so much going on. It's a stressful period of time and you're finally in your home. So just take a breath. We can definitely come back to it later and get anything changed and corrected if that is something that is a priority to you, if it is within your budget and all of that. When those kind of doubts or regrets start to creep in, again, it's kind of almost inevitable and it'll be okay. The next thing is that it is going to take time to put together. I don't know why I had it in my head that within, 2 weeks, everything was going to be set for what I had. I've mentioned a couple times that this isn't going to be my normal filming position, and I still stand by that it won't be, but I don't have everything put together yet. So I think it's just one of those things where we have, these expectations and these timelines in our head, and just again, with the last one, just be a little kind to yourself. Realize that there's not really a schedule, there's not really a timeline. It will take time and that's okay. And just not to feel like you have to have everything put together right away. That tends to lead to some issues like buying things that maybe you don't love, buying things that are maybe cheaper for the purpose of just having something there that costs more money in the long run because they were kind of stand-in pieces instead of the one thing that you really wanted. Just keep in mind that again, it'll take a little bit of time. Personally, here we have some empty rooms. We have some rooms that are kind of half done right now, and that's okay, and it's going to be okay. And I would rather wait and get the things that I know that I want rather than try to throw something together or feel pressured to throw something together just for the sake of having, a complete home. Every time I stop petting her, she starts squirming and stepping all over things. But essentially, take your time, be okay with it taking time, go in understanding that it's going to take time, work on your own schedule. Make sure that this is not being kind of influenced by anybody outside of your home. You're the one who lives there, you're the one who needs to be happy with it. So just, take a breath, make sure that you understand that some things might be empty, some things might not be perfect. Like, I'm not very convinced on these chairs. That's okay. They'll work for now. It was definitely something that was kind of in my old style. There's an ottoman over here that is definitely not my style anymore, but my cat really likes to, stretch out in the sun and be with me during the workday, and that's one of the spots that she likes. So we're keeping it there for now until I find something that, I do want to replace it with. So there are some things that are placeholders that we already had, but in the meantime, it'll work. And again, I'm trying really hard to just remind myself that we're not on any specific timetable and what we have might not be the finished product, but we are making our way there, and that's okay. The last piece is a little bit to do with, I'll say, a lifestyle change. For me, it's really about the cleaning schedule changes. So typically when we were in the apartment, I was vacuuming, every 3 days about to try to make sure, first of all, it was terrible carpet. And I really wanted to make sure it stayed as fluffy as possible so that we didn't have to, get dinged for having to replace the carpet or anything like that, which we didn't, which was very nice. But with all of the hard spaces, so again, we were on carpet for a long time. Now I'm seeing that I'm vacuuming just about every day. Sometimes I can push it to every other day, but for a lot of the main living areas, I do run the vacuum every single day. So these are just things that it might be a little bit of a departure from what you're used to, and you'll learn your home and you'll learn kind of the differences between where you are now versus where you were before. There are some things that might need to change that are going to disrupt your schedule a little bit. So basically, I guess the moral is that there's a learning curve, there's a process. There are just some things that maybe you'd always done something one way in the past that might need to be changed for your new situation. It doesn't take that much time, honestly, but it was definitely a change. And every time, I come in and I look through the floor, I'm like, I just vacuumed. How can this be happening? It's something that I will just get used to, and it's definitely something that will be worth it because it looks so much better when it is. So just be prepared that there are some changes to maybe your scheduling you might have to get used to. So that is everything for today. Again, just some different changes that you might need to be aware of that I just want to make sure that, again, some of them are bigger problems than others, some are just kind of small or even silly, but things that you should be aware of and just be prepared for in this whole new build, new home, new move process. I do hope you found something helpful and useful. If you did, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. But other than that, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until next time, bye. Say bye. Say bye. Over here. Say bye.